Johnny, and this is America's Mayor Confidential. And this is our new show that will go in to these subjects in more depth and also with information that sometimes is information that we should deal with somewhat more sensitively and probe more deeply. Uh, so let's begin with latest. The latest in the many crimes of the Biden family, and this is a breakdown of a nice, discreet criminal act on the part of the American president, who, without doubt, has committed the most crimes. You remember that Joe and or that Hunter Biden made a call on July 30th, 2017, where he claimed his father was sitting next to him. Called Raymond Zhao, who was one of the chief executives at CEFC. CEFC is a Chinese-owned, very much a red Chinese company of Chinese Communist Party country, owned by Yi Jinming, who was one of the richest men in China at one time and one of the highest ranking people in the Chinese party. And Hunter, of course, remember there was an audio tape that he did with a prostitute in which he spelled this all out. I'm partners with the richest man in China. I'm partners with the spy chief in China, all of which is true. All these people are on the hard drive. I pointed out in the earlier show that he was partners with the spy chief of China when every single day he was walking past classified material, some of which had to do with China, that his father very conveniently put there right next to his car. His father also put some of that stolen material in Chinatown and at two institutes that the Chinese support. This is far more egregious than anything that Trump did, which might not even be a crime since he was president, and the documents never left Mar-a-Lago. So what are we talking about here? What we're talking about is a country that's become a fascist country. State police and the Biden state prosecutors. So Hunter calls up and has a conversation with Mr. Zhao as if he was Sonny Corleone. He says Pop is next to him. Pop, I don't know if Pop says he wasn't. Pop has said, I don't know anything about his foreign dealings. That could be, it's hard to say what's the biggest lie Biden ever told. But that one is proved now 100 different ways to be untrue. By the way, did you actually even need anybody to prove that it was untrue to you? Didn't you realize the minute he said it was a lie? Of course I did. But now, we could go ahead and waste your time and play the tape recording in which he indicates that he knew all about the foreign dealings. Joe does in his own voice. There have been 1, 2, 3, 4 witnesses to that. And about 10 texts and emails. So you have an audio recording in which Joe admits it. You've got 4 witnesses and you've got 10 texts to prove that he knew in detail about the son's foreign business. You have him part of a contract. You have him having dinner with his associates, business associates, Hunter's business, and also having a very compromising meetings with them when they needed favors from him, which they got. All for money. Was he with him when he made this call? I'm going to bet he was. But Hunter threatens the guy with his father is going to really come down on him. August 8th, a $5 million wire arrives from Red China. It comes from an affiliate called Northern International Capital, another one that is a red Chinese company. In other words, this is $5 million from the Chinese communists. I would burn it. I'd send it back to them, like I sent back the money, the 10 million to the guy from Saudi Arabia, who the princeling from Saudi Arabia, who attacked our foreign policy, and that was nothing compared to China. China wants to displace us. China wants to destroy the United States. China has killed 70 to 80 million of its own people. China, at the time they sent this money to him, were engaged in an exercise to eliminate the Falun Gong and what's the other group? The genocide, the Uyghurs. How you take $5 million from the Red Chinese means you're a crook. Yeah. And you're anti-American. And I think you're pretty damn close to a traitor if you take money from Red China. Well, they didn't even think about it. They took $5 million from Red China. It went right into Hudson West 3, which is a company. We have the documents for it. Joe Biden's a partner in that. Joe Biden and his wife Jill had offices designated for them, the two best offices. Several of the other partners in this. This is the one with the contract with 10% for the big guys. That's so basically Joe was in business with the Chinese communists before he became president. Well, $5 million goes Hudson West 3, which is a company made up of the Biden family and several other people, and 3 members of the Red Chinese Party, the Communist Chinese Party. Within a few days, they take $400,000 of that, and they send it to a company called Owasco PC, which is owned by Hunter. And then Hunter, in another couple of days, wires from Owasco PC to Lion Hall Group, which is owned by his uncle and his uncle's wife, James, and what's the wife's name? Sarah. And then again, within a couple of days, Sarah sends a $40,000 check to Joe Biden saying loan repayment, for which there is nothing in the hard drive or any place else indicating anything about a loan predating this. Look like money laundering to you? That's just a small amount. And this is the one where it's a little confusing, because this is one where he's written into the contract at 10% for the big guy. But the son, at or about this time, makes it clear to his daughter that for 30 years, Joe got half of Hunter's income. Hunter had to share his income with him, which, really kind of makes sense, because Hunter was earning it by selling his father's name and influence. He wouldn't have gotten anything without his father. But a decent man, a decent father, which he is not, would never have used his son, particularly a son who suffered from addiction. I mean, you're just going to make that addiction worse. This is a horrible human being to do that to your son. So, I mean, this is just one of hundreds of transactions showing money, money going to Joe. Then the day before yesterday, it was revealed that there are 82,000 emails, and I think they're all under aliases. What is the vice president sending out 82,000 emails, all under? Now it's a little unclear. So let me make this clear. President Biden sent or received up to 82,000 pages worth of private emails while serving as Barack Obama's vice president. The National Archives and Records Administration disclosed yesterday as part of a lawsuit. So the National Archives, which is trying to crucify Donald Trump, has been in cahoots with Biden to hide all this from the very, very beginning. So we know where and who they are, right? But they got caught, and this had to be revealed. What I don't know for sure, and therefore don't want to misstate, whether 82,000 pages of emails on a private server, some or many of which were under aliases, or were they all under aliases? Because the quote from the general counsel of the company that got the emails, dragged them out of the National Archives, is quoted as saying, the fact that his Vice President Joe Biden sent 82,000 pages of emails from alias email addresses is shocking. So that sounds like there are 82,000 alias emails. That would be completely, almost impossible, I think. Or it could be a large portion of them were. We'll try to check on that for you. But in any event, what the heck is he using an alias for? And why are there so many going back and forth at the time that Shokin was being fired, the new prosecutor was being appointed to fix the Burisma case, which is what the FBI highly reliable informant reported, that both Hunter and Joe were paid $5 million each to get the case fixed. And just at the time that the prosecutor was removed, the new prosecutor put, there are numerous aliases used for emails back and forth between the two of them. Now, you want another indication of a piece of evidence that's like so damning it sort of kind of nails the coffin shut? Joe didn't just get the he approved the new prosecutor. That's on a telephone call between him and the president of Ukraine that the Ukrainians leaked. Now, there are 4 of those calls, and they're long, and the White House doesn't want to release them. Call that when Trump was accused of a quid pro quo with Zelensky, which isn't true, it is true of Biden, he released the tape immediately. So come on, Joe, release those 4 conversations with Poroshenko. Why don't you just release them if you're innocent? National security, we could take. We just want the conversation about your bribes. That's all. We just need the they'll take up most of it. You weren't really talking about anything serious in terms of national security. Poroshenko may have acted with you in one way or another, but like everybody else, he knew you were a damn fool. And he would suck up to you because he needed money from you. But he knew how dopey you are. So it couldn't have been a particularly serious conversation about national security. And he knows that, the reality is that unless there's some corruption involved, Obama wasn't going to do what you recommended. You didn't want to kill bin Laden, you jackass. I think Gates was really warning us when he said the extraordinary statement that Biden in his entire career was never right about any issue of foreign policy. First of all, I think he's literally true, literally correct. But why would he say that about Biden? Because he's probably enough of a patriot to want to warn us, but not enough of a patriot to go public. Notice that if you really care about this country, you don't care about the boards you get thrown off. All you do is care about the country. And you don't let us get a president who is a functional idiot. And maybe worse. So Musk has blasted Soros, He was on Joe Rogan, and he said that Soros realized you don't actually need to change the laws. You just need to change how they're enforced by getting all those crooked prosecutors appointed and spending about 40 to 50 million to get prosecutors elected in places maybe he's never even been, basically in order just to destroy the criminal justice system. A lot of people wonder, well, why did he do that? Does he like criminals? Does he like lots of crime? Does he like to see Philadelphia under his prosecutor setting a record for murder or Rochester setting a record for murder, or St. Louis setting a record for murder. His prosecution pretty much accomplished that, get more people murdered than ever before. I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is chaos. I think the reason is a very, very well-defined part of the communist playbook, which is you want to create, they're nihilists, and they want to create a complete destruction of society, like the Cultural Revolution. They want to take away from you any sense that your government, your culture, your society works. And that's what it's part of. And Soros, I think Musk is on target with how dangerous Soros is and how bad he is. I don't know that he's got the background in communism to realize that this is part of the Marx playbook. It's very, very interesting. They've put out the new jab, the new vaccine. If I said this a year ago, they'd take me off the air.
Yeah.
Nobody. You know how many people have taken it? 4.5%.
And they're pushing that all over the commercials, right? They got.
But now, do you want to know something?
Yeah.
The I don't know which company this is, but they've already gotten their millions or trillions because the government paid for it.
So they don't care.
Yeah, it's all going to go wasted. But better than it's giving people myocarditis.
Better than giving it to people.
Yeah, myocarditis or falling apart on the football field or whatever, or not having children or
having a gimp in your leg.
Yeah.
That's inside.
Is that what you think it comes from?
We can laugh for now.
Maybe. I don't know.
So, Mayor, I don't know if you want to wait until tomorrow to talk about this. There's a lot of fast and breaking news. And, of course, this is of New York City is so near and dear to your heart. You may want to read up on it before reacting.
Just tell us as a group of facts what you know. I've only been able to look at the main part of it, which is that his chief fundraiser, very, very close. There's no question about that. Had her home subject to a search today by the FBI, but I don't. Beyond that, I haven't had a chance to look into it. What? And I see you put in front of me a New York Times story.
Yes, and
now I heard about this. They searched me.
Another breaking story: Sam Bankman-Fried has been found guilty on all charges.
That was kind of expected.
Yeah. The FBI is investigating New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
Well, the last mayor whose house they searched, they had to send him a letter saying he committed no crime. That was me.
That was you.
And they searched my law office, which is still outrageous. And it's also outrageous that the bar associations are not doing anything about it except trying to disbar me. My law office gets searched in a situation in which they find no probable cause to accuse me. And they're not demanding answers to the breach of the attorney-client privilege. Instead, they want me disbarred for doing my job as a lawyer and defending Donald Trump. Zealously, overzealously, whatever. I believe it was zealously. But I mean, if I become the standard for disbarment, they're going to have to get rid of every one of the really good trial lawyers who fight like hell for their client.
Of course.
But notice they don't care about the destruction of the attorney-client privilege.
Of course not.
I mean,
it's their sole motivation.
No matter who I am, what I am, they never should have invaded my office. By the way, I had other clients. What about them? And where's the Bar Association trying to stop that?
The ACLU. Any of these groups. And Mayor, they're going after you, and this isn't just to go after you. It's to make it's to show the American people that which they haven't beaten you. So let's not say, they haven't gotten you.
They haven't beaten me, but I'm not exactly in a fair situation. I'm like kind of like people would, if I told you I'm kind of like a jury trial for Donald Trump in the District of Columbia.
Yeah.
Please wake up and remember. The Bar Association of D.C. is a reflection of D.C. Has DC been, has any of the structures in DC been at all fair to Trump? Of course not. Now, the Bar Association in New York is an ultra liberal bar association that hates conservative judges, hates conservative causes, hates Trump, and hates me. And then it eventually goes to the judges, and the judges are creatures of the Democratic Party. And they all, everybody thinks, judge, beautiful robe, whatever. Democratic county leader. The Democratic county leader selects the judge. You think they're going to rule for me or Trump? They'd be finished in the Democratic Party if they did. If they told the truth that the Bar Association's case against me was completely contrived, a complete violation of my First Amendment rights, involved a certain amount of fraud on the part of the people who did it, they wouldn't be able to practice law in New York anymore. That's the simple fact. And the simple fact is that people have been intimidated and threatened, and the bar associations have done nothing, which tells you clearly that they're on one side and will not give you a fair hearing. Well, let's go back to, because and part of this is corrupt cities are thoroughly corrupt. If the city is corrupt, it's thoroughly corrupt. New York City is corrupt. That doesn't mean that Adams is corrupt yet. But it does mean that in New York than someplace else where there isn't a history of corruption. Now, we had a long period of no corruption, just like we had a long period of no riots. For 20 years, we had no riots in New York. The last riot was a Democratic mayor. The next riot is a Democratic mayor. 20 years in between, no riots.
Between Occupy Wall, between
the mayor I succeeded.
Occupy Wall Street, right?
The mayor I succeeded got a couple $1 million for awarding a cable contract when he was on the Board of Estimate, and forged a document making it pivot to his son that was so phony it made you laugh, and it was essentially a bribe. But David Dinkins got away with it because the U.S. attorney at the time was afraid to indict the first black mayor of New York.
Wow! So
but that's the simple truth.
Yeah.
The Democrat press will never tell the truth that David Dinkins was a crook, and so were all of his little pals who became multimillionaires while they let Harlem rot. They made millions while Harlem rotted, including Charlie Rangel.
You did a lot more for the black community.
I did. I was the first one to do something for Harlem in years. All they did was
personal.
Yeah. They were taking so much money they didn't have time to do anything for Harlem.
And that's the sad part.
When you become corrupt, it's very rare that you get a Robin Hood.
That's what I'm thinking. Like at least the guy could have put a little. Thrown a little. Some of the old time, like if you go back to him, you'll see a certain amount of that Robin Hood there. Keeping the neighborhood.
But these guys were all for themselves. Well, here I'll just tell you what it says in the Times. Here it says federal prosecutors and the FBI are conducting a broad public corruption investigation into whether Mayor Eric Adams' 2021 election campaign government to receive illegal foreign donations. I mean, this comes as a complete surprise to me. I would have no insight into this. I'll have to do a little.
So maybe before you react, people are going to be waiting, of course, for your reaction.
There is something when you say Turkish government. There is something in my mind as to what it might be.
Has to be construction related.
No.
Well, we'll leave it at that for now.
I myself and Judge Mukasey, former federal district judge, represented a guy who we tried to do a prisoner exchange with from Turkey. And in the course of that, I did find out a little bit about what Turkey is up to. But I mean, it could be a lot of different things. And he could be absolutely innocent.
And would that tell you, if he is innocent here, you got to give the Biden administration, somebody there, credit for knowing how to play hardball. This guy was minutes away from confronting if you want to believe, he was going to do this. He was minutes away from confronting the Biden administration.
They've been
going after Biden for a while.
And they've been going after him for a while.
And what did he have to do? He had to cancel that meeting. He was supposed to go meet with Biden to talk about you really
think this was orchestrated?
I think there's a chance, and it wouldn't be Biden. We both know Biden's out of it. But he must have some killers, at least some people that know what they're doing.
The thing it tells you
when it comes to
the golden circle is they would never even think.
Yeah, he's not
like
Hunter.
if this were
Hunter.
if this was Schumer, they'd never go after him.
Oh, Schumer's safe.
Yeah, they wouldn't go.
Pelosi.
Oh my God, no! I mean, Pelosi took so much money in insider trading and got away with it. I mean, he is definitely not in the inner circle. Like he was on a council, they took him off. The minute he started criticizing the president, he ended up, and then Hochul was invited to something, but not him. Yeah. So I mean, you could make a case. I don't know, but they might not. But they might not. He probably doesn't get the usual immunity that a Democrat gets to rape, pillage, steal, rob.
Yeah. All right, Eric, you want to come meet with us in Washington?
Be a pedophile. That? You know, it's amazing. Epstein supposedly had all these pedophiles.
Not one has been released. Not one person. Because they're all
if it was a Republican, it'd be out there in a minute.
Oh gosh, the whole list would be out. We'd have,
even if they can make one up.
Oh, absolutely. There would be a list where we're not sure, and Trump's name would be on there.
Yeah,
it's insane.
They tried to get Trump, except Trump threw the guy out of Mar-a-Lago.
That's the thing. It's on record.
It's a big story of Mar-a-Lago. You can go talk to some of the people over there even now, and they'll tell you.
To get out of here. You probably saw him there with a girl, with a kid, literally a kid.
No. What happened? It's very simple. What happened? The guy was giving a hard time to the masseuses, the female masseuses, and the lady, one of the female masseuses went up to the chief, the person in charge, and complained about Epstein and said, I've done massages for him a few times, and he's beginning to get somewhat physical now. And I don't know what to do. I know he's a good friend of Donald Trump's. And the executive said, first of all, I don't think he's a good friend. Trump acts friendly with everybody here.
I will say,
but he's not someone. I know his good friends. I don't think he's one of his good friends. But in any event, even if it was his good friend, I mean, you don't know. Mr. Trump and stuff like this.
Oh God, no.
This was done by a Times reporter way back then, picked up by a Times reporter, and way back before Epstein was Epstein. So this is solid. This is solid as a rock.
Yeah.
They go to Trump office and they explain what happened. The executive, he says, "You believe this?" She says, "Yes." Picks up the phone, calls security, and says, get Epstein's stuff out of his locker here and at the golf course. Pack it all up. You got his address? Send it over there and tell him we don't want him back here. Put his picture in every booth and don't let him in. He's out, we'll refund whatever money he's owed. Or maybe he didn't even say that. Trump may have kept the money. Who knows?
That's leadership, though.
Yeah.
That's leadership.
Well, then the guy tried to get back in a couple of times and they, threw him out.
That's what a leader does. Stands by their staff.
Oh, I saw him do it during the campaign.
Yeah.
So, but this solid as a rock because I was representing him when Epstein came up.
Really?
And I got the thing on it. I have the affidavits. I was ready to, prepared. And then of course it would drive me nuts because every time they would mention Epstein, they say he knew Trump and Clinton. Well, he knew Trump, but he was Clinton's best friend. And Trump was on the plane once. But he borrowed it to go from Florida to New York, which these millionaires do all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Bill needs to use other people's
and they almost do it through the service.
NetJets or something.
Yeah, like his plane, Trump's plane is being fixed.
Yeah.
And they'll call up and say, "Is there a jet available?" And they'll say, "Oh yeah, Epstein's jet's available." Before, but he never went down toward that island. And Clinton did 27 times, but never noticed any little girls there.
My goodness.
But Clinton, did Clinton have bad eyesight?
He must have. He just wasn't.
Yeah.
And he wasn't paying attention to that stuff. Bill Clinton, he was focused on all these NGO, the projects he was doing. He wasn't thinking.
He was just focused on interns.
Well, that's demonstrably true. I mean, that's just what happened in the 90s, right? That's what happened.
Well, one more.
So, Mayor, how does this make you feel, though? seeing this come out, right?
Well,
This
I
is
don't
the
know.
office of the
It
mayor.
makes me feel nothing
Okay.
because I really am a big believer in innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Right now, we know only one thing. The FBI searched this woman. When I was single piece of crap newspaper person said, where there's smoke, there's fire. This
Love
is a
that line.
big problem for Giuliani.
I love that line.
They didn't say, gee, when the U.S. attorney wrote a letter to the grand jury saying, we engaged and we found no probable cause to charge Mr. Giuliani with any crime. They didn't say, gee, we were wrong and we apologize for that smoke with fire comment.
Yeah, never got an apology, did you?
So I will say that even before you pause because of the corruption of the upper levels of the FBI, right?
And the Biden administration.
Yeah.
What they do.
Even before I would have to pause, I would have taken the view, just as a prosecutor and one who believes in the system and would never politicize it, I would take the view that the mayor is innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
In the middle of investigating Koch's and closest people, I knew to a certainty that Koch wasn't involved. If he were alive, he'd go crazy now if I said this, but his head was in a different place.
That's the nicest way you put it.
No, he's too scatterbrained to know. I mean, it's stuff he wouldn't.
I think he would take that rather than the alternative.
No, he wouldn't. He couldn't take anything. He had a big feud with me for years and said I was the meanest man I know because I wouldn't reappoint 3 of his judges. Well, because I looked at the judges in New York a lot differently than he did. I looked at them as a bunch of political hacks.
Was he a lawyer?
Koch was a lawyer, yeah, but not a practicing lawyer like I was.
Yeah.
And the complaints about these judges were a little too close to the line. I mean, I had a bench made up of people picked by Democratic hack politicians. So who hack politicians are going to pick? And I mean, when I was doing it, they were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to the party. Manus was taking the money for himself. I mean, it was a completely corrupt system. But I mean, anytime you're going to have the local political bosses picking the judges in a corrupt city, you're going to have a real problem. Here's what happens at a minimum. You cannot get a fair decision on a political case. You can't. I mean, it's impossible. When they came to me with the fact that I should challenge my election in 1989 because it was so close and whatever.
You knew that it wouldn't have.
I said, number one, we're not going to win. I'm a Republican. Are you kidding me? You think I got a Republican won an election battle? Oh, yeah, that was the last judge who never went anywhere.
So you just kind of, let it go.
Let it go, and next time.
Not let it go, but you took it.
And I learned from it. And the next time I spent $1 million on election integrity instead of television. And I cut it in half. I said in half.
Was the whole idea of the political machine, did that still exist in the 80s?
Sure.
Is that kind of gone away?
There's not many I put in jail? No, it hasn't gone away. I mean, Albany.
Political machine in New York?
Albany is filled with corruption in New York.
But it's like an organized machine.
Is it organized? Nothing is as organized. Yeah, the party apparatus in boroughs is organized. See, we have counties or boroughs. So each county has a Democratic leader and a Republican leader. The people who put you on the ballot are the county leaders. Yeah. Or keep you off the ballot.
And that's what you want. And as a Democrat in New
so
York,
we elect our
judges.
Our judges of who have trial jurisdiction. The mayor appoints the lower court judges. I appointed all the criminal court judges.
Wow. That's unique for cities, right?
Yeah, I appointed all of those. From that group, a lot of the Supreme Court justices are picked, but the county leader can pick whoever he wants. And in these districts that are 80% Democrat, if I put you up as a nominee, unless there's some tragic thing wrong with you, you're going to win, 70-30, or you may be unopposed. Yeah. So it really is an appointment. If we wanted to be honest with people, we would say, when you look at the bench of the Supreme Court of the city of New York.
Not to confuse people, Supreme Court in New York
is the trial court.
Yeah.
When you look at the trial judges in New York, they are all picked by highly political operative, sometimes disparagingly known as political hack.
Where every opinion they write is with this in mind. The idea of advancement
they
in the
have
party.
they have a I think a 14-year term, and they're not going to get appointed if they screw the party.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get their heart's desire, which is an appointment to the appellate division, if they aren't good to the party, particularly since, at least over the last number of years, the people who made the appointments were two judges who had to leave for ethical reasons. Spitzer and Cuomo. They're going to appoint Republicans. They're not going to appoint people that the party tells them these people are loyal and they'll protect you. And they'll protect you. Andrew, you don't think Andrew was worried about a court protecting him?
Man, you're making quite the compelling case for all of us to hightail it out of New York.
It's a corrupt state. It's a function of the fact that it's run by one political party. And it's the political party. I mean, we've got certain things about our political party that are irksome. One of the things about theirs is they're much more highly corrupt because they come out of the corrupt old cities.
It just makes me so sad.
I mean, think of where they come from. They come from Boston. They come from New York. They come from Philadelphia. They control Chicago. They control Atlanta.
LA.
They control LA. They control San Francisco. They've destroyed
San Francisco. Yeah,
they control San Francisco. They don't control them. They
whatever's left of it.
Yeah. And they're on their way to destroying Los Angeles.
Portland.
Detroit. You know Detroit. Corrupt is, I mean, you.
Yeah, oh, God.
It is not like if you don't live in one of these corrupt cities, if you think this is anything like a democracy or a constitutional republic, you're completely out of your mind.
Yeah, it's so sad.
This is a one-party operation. And now that social communism, like take your child away and chop up your child's body, but don't tell the parent, these things are not, uncomfortable in a basically one-party operation like we have. That's why they're so prone to going along with these communist solutions. They've got a communist government. Chicago, 55 years of Democratic rule.
Yep.
And people are getting shot like left and right on weekends. Well,
that's just.
You should know that the Voice of America sides with Hamas. That's nice to know. Instructed. They've all been instructed to use the word for Hamas's slaughter of the Israelis, the unconscionable massacre, incursion. Hamas made an incursion. And they must be described as Hamas members, not terrorists. They want neutrality in news reporting. So, which means there'll be neutrality between the Nazis and the Allies? I mean, neutrality between terrorists murdering women and children. Who's paying for Voice of America? Me and you.
Yeah.
Maybe we should stop.
Yeah.
What the hell do we need a Voice of America for if they're gonna proselytize terrorism?
We not a dime.
It's like the stupid radio station that we pay for.
Yeah.
NPR.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about something that's gone totally off the. I mean,
you might as well play this. I don't know what the Soviet national anthem is, but you should play it before they start in the morning.
It's just it's gotten so bad, Mayor. And I
never listened to it, so I have no idea what they say. Every once in a while, you see and you discard it because you know it's not true.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like you're back in East Berlin before the wall came down.
It's like, you assume right away that it's false information. You don't give them the benefit of the doubt that it's probably true. You'd think, no.
It looks like the House Judiciary Committee has a sort of notion that those 51 spies who I call prostitutes, the intelligence people,
spies
who decided that the hard drive had earmarks of Russian disinformation. First of all, it had no earmarks at all. Yeah. It was devoid of any earmarks. So I don't know what they're talking about when they say earmarks. Since they didn't give me the benefit of describing a single one, but just a general term, earmarks, I can't imagine what they're talking about. And finally, they would know anything about it, so they never asked. They never saw it. They never asked. They never looked at it. So they just decided to say something volatile like that to cover up an election.
They didn't assert that it was fact, right? They left it. They covered their tracks, right, by saying it has all the earmarks. They didn't say.
And then the press, but Jordan says that by portraying the allegations as Russian disinformation, they obstructed the work of the congressional committee, which could lead to criminal charges. Couldn't be a better. Remember, I showed the picture before of all the people heading to America. See them? They would like to live next to you, but we don't know who they are. Now you see, if a
lot of young, able-bodied males there.
So the Mexican cartel looks at that and says, we can slip a couple of our fentanyl people right in here. We'll put the sex trafficking people in here. The Islamic extremist terrorists. I mean, I tell you what, we won't even put them in there. We'll take a couple 100,000 from them, or maybe 1 million, and we'll bring them in as gotaways. Because while this is going on, this will distract, for sure, all of the resources for a long distance. Plenty of places they can then bring you in without any kind of detection. The Laya Mayorkas estimates 620,000 of those last year. The true number is about 2 million. But I want you to look at that. You see, when numbers order, it is impossible for drug organizations, for sex trafficking organizations, and for terrorist organizations not to take advantage of it. You're crashing the border open for them. And whether it's a fairly low-level type that you're going to hide in here, or you're going to use this as a diversion so you can do it over here, this is exactly why our country is being destroyed. And this is like a war. This is like an invasion. This is an invasion. Not every one of those people, but every one of those people is assisting it because they can help hide the others. And I don't know work, because when Adams did his work thing, and we got like about 100,000 in New York, he only got about 2,000 that applied for work. So I don't think this is a group that wants to come and build the railroads like the Irish did. Just don't have a feeling. And there's nothing at all racist about that. It's a fact. The fact is based on only 2,000 applied for work. The rest of them seem to be more impressed with everything Adams told them about how much welfare they're going to get, which is a hell of a lot more than they would have earned in their own country.
Well, Mayor, maybe we do some reading here, catch up on this late breaking news regarding Mayor Adams, and then maybe we'll have more to say on this tomorrow.
Let me just show you why my state and the state of California are falling apart, and why, if Gavin Newsom ever runs for president, he shouldn't get a single vote alone. This is the adjudication rate in 4 states on asylum cases involving the illegals. So in New York, 61% were granted. In California, Newsom's Communist Republic of California, 66% were granted. In Florida, 23% were granted. And in Texas, 19%. You know what the real rate is? It's about 5% that really are entitled to asylum.
Yeah.
This is a complete, and the biggest scam artist of all is the guy prancing around who wants to run for president instead of Biden. But boy, he's going to carry the weight of California on his shoulder. If you want New York, America to be like California, for the dandy boy. See what he's going to do for you. So we thank you very, very much for listening in. We'll be back tomorrow night with a big end-of-week show. We'll first, of course, be America's Mayor Live, which will be at 7, and then we'll have America's Mayor Confidential at 8. and then we'll announce our plans for the future with you. God bless.